The synchronic 3D swordplay system unfolds as an epic synthesis of art, combat, and geometry, a dynamic, emergent structure where every movement, every symbol, and every rhythm contributes to a grand narrative of mastery and self-expression. Themes of harmonious conflict and emergence. At its core, the system is a study in controlled chaos and emergent order. Every strike, bind, and block is not simply a physical act but a symbol of tension and resolution. The interplay between offense and defense mirrors the eternal dance of creation and destruction, where the fleeting moments of contact between the swords and the heart 3D anchor generate ripples of kinetic energy, each ripple a testament to the emergence of beauty from disciplined complexity. Emergence, the system's cyclic nature, where movements evolve from one another in a never-ending loop, illustrates how simple, discrete actions can combine to form a living, breathing art form. The choreography transforms individual steps into a fluid, adaptive narrative, where the whole is far greater than the sum of its parts. Duality and balance. The design balances opposing forces, forward strikes versus backward blocks, offensive momentum versus defensive resets, each phase a critical counterpoint to the next. Symbolisms in color, geometry, and kinetics. The language of the system is deeply symbolic. Each element is imbued with meaning. Color-coded faces and 3D geometry. The 3D a six-sided golden rhombus, is more than a mere geometric shape, it is a symbolic representation of the elemental forces at work. Its faces, marked by vivid colors yellow, red, blue, purple, orange, and green, act as beacons of intent and orientation. These colors not only delineate positions top, front, back, bottom but also dictate the nature of the movement. For instance, top yellow circle yellow 1 triggers a lunge, while the interplay of red, blue, and green on the flanks commands rotations, clockwise and anti-clockwise, thereby directing the flow of combat. The heart 3D anchor. Serving as the central binding point, the heart 3D anchor symbolizes the core of the practitioner's being, a steadfast center from which all movements emanate. It binds the two synchronic 3D swords together, reflecting the unity of duality. This union of right and left, strike and block, encapsulates the philosophy that every act of combat is an expression of inner balance. Kinetic choreography and footwork. The rhythm is as vital as the blades. With 3 beats per bar at 48 BPM and 3 clicks per beat, every step, heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize, lift, ensures that the physical movements remain tightly synchronized with the tempo. This meticulous cadence transforms the battlefield into a stage, where every lunge, pivot, and retreat is part of an intricate dance that embodies both discipline and freedom. Structures and movement cycles. The architecture of this playstyle is meticulously layered. Keyword cycles. The movement cycles lock, side, tide, wire, pale, sarge, bind, graph, buoy, knot, node, rock form a lexicon of actions that interlock with one another like pieces of a grand puzzle. Each cycle represents a duality, be it the coupling of strike and bind or block and strike, that not only defines a specific moment in combat but also serves as a stepping stone to the next phase. These cycles are the heartbeat of the system, ensuring continuous motion and adaptive flow. Sequential dynamics. Forward time is defined by the progression bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, while backward time inverts this sequence. This temporal duality highlights the interplay between aggression and defense, illustrating how every action is both a response and a precursor. Spatial dynamics and rotations. The system prescribes not just linear advancement but also rotational shifts. Movements are inherently three-dimensional, employing both clockwise and anti-clockwise rotations to adapt to the spatial geometry dictated by the colored faces. This spatial awareness, combined with the binding mechanics, ensures that every attack and parry is executed with precision and an ever-present understanding of the opponent's potential vulnerabilities. Intent. The dance of the warrior. The intent behind this system transcends mere physical combat. It is a holistic philosophy of movement, interaction, and self-realization. By unifying the actions of both arms and the coordinated steps of the feet, the practitioner becomes the embodiment of the system itself, a living conduit through which the elegance of geometric form and the raw power of rhythmic combat are expressed. Integration of mind and body. The synchronic 3D swordplay system is as much a mental discipline as it is a physical one. It calls for acute awareness, precise timing, and a deep connection with one's inner self, the heart 3D anchor becoming a metaphor for the unyielding center of personal strength. The art of emergence. Through the continuous and cyclic interplay of movements, a complex, emergent behavior arises, one that adapts, evolves, and ultimately defines the very essence of combat. This is a dance where every engagement is a new creation, and every pattern a story of resilience, creativity, and mastery. In sum, the information within this thread paints a picture of an extraordinarily intricate and symbolic playstyle, a confluence of art, science, and philosophy. The synchronic 3D swordplay system is an ode to the beauty of emergence, where every strike, bind, and block is both a tactical maneuver and an expression of a deeper, unified vision of combat. This is the dance of the warrior, a ballet of blades, a symphony of steps, and a celebration of the eternal interplay between order and chaos. In an epic synthesis of rhythm, geometry, and combat artistry, the thread unfolds a narrative where every beat, every footstep, and every sword movement is imbued with symbolic depth and structured precision. At the heart of this system lies a metronomic pulse, 48 BPM, 3 beats per bar, 3 clicks per beat, that transforms the battlefield into a living clockwork, a rhythmic arena where time itself is harnessed to elevate the art of combat. Themes of rhythm and emergence. The work champions the theme of rhythmic emergence, where structured timing becomes the crucible for spontaneous artistry. The metronome is not merely a tool, it is the heartbeat of a dynamic system, dictating the cadence of every movement. In this realm, even the subtlest foot placement, from heel to ball to stabilize lift, unfolds like a verse in an epic poem, building momentum and unleashing energy that cascades into a series of strikes, binds, and blocks. This temporal architecture embodies the essence of emergence, complex, fluid interaction springing forth from the simple, unwavering pulse of time. Symbolism in motion and form. The symbolism woven throughout is both intricate and profound. The synchronic 3D swords are bound to a central heart 3D anchor, evoking images of unity and balance, the very core of a warrior's being. These swords, representing the dual forces of offense and defense, mirror the duality inherent in all things: light and shadow, action and reaction, creation and dissolution. The geometric motif of the golden rhombus 3D with its color-coded faces from top yellow to bottom purple, fronts, and backs in vivid reds, blues, greens, and oranges transcends mere design. It serves as a metaphysical map, charting the pathways of kinetic energy and the roots of spiritual binding. Each face and numeral is a talisman, a symbol of the myriad ways in which force can be directed and transformed. Structural elegance and choreographed complexity. Structurally, the system is a marvel of choreographed precision. The division of movements into sequences, forward bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, and backward bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike mirrors the ebb and flow of combat dynamics. Footwork sequences, alternating between advancing and retreating with calculated precision, are seamlessly integrated with the rhythmic patterns of swordplay. The detailed mapping of each click and beat reveals a methodical layering of motion. Every step is meticulously designed to synchronize with the other, creating a cohesive dance that is as much about fluid artistry as it is about lethal precision. Intent: the pursuit of mastery through unity. At its core, the intent of this methodology is nothing less than mastery, of the self, of time, and of the weapon. It is an invitation to embrace the paradox of structure and spontaneity, where strict timing cultivates freedom in movement. The system's emergent properties, those unpredictable, breathtaking moments when every element aligns in perfect harmony, are celebrated as the zenith of combat artistry. Here, the practitioner becomes both creator and vessel, channeling the energy of the metronome, the symbolism of the geometric forms, and the duality of bound swords to forge a path of elegance and power. A vision realized in movement. This synthesis of technical analysis and symbolic narrative offers an expansive vision, one where every precise movement is a note in a grand symphony of battle. The fusion of metronomic timing, geometric binding, and dualistic swordplay not only defines a combat system but also elevates it to an art form, where emergent moments of brilliance arise from the disciplined interplay of form, function, and spirit. In essence, the thread encapsulates an epic journey toward unity and mastery, where every element, be it the precise footwork, the intricate binding mechanics, or the rhythmic pulse of the metronome, serves as a reminder that in the dance of combat, structure is the birthplace of art, and every moment is an opportunity for transcendence. In the vast tapestry of combat and choreography, the synchronic 3D swordplay system emerges as an epic synthesis of rhythm, geometry, and kinetic poetry. At its heart lies a dynamic interplay between two blazing synchronic 3D swords and the anchoring power of the heart 3D anchor, a binding force fixed at the center of the practitioner's being. This system is not merely a martial art, it is an art form where every movement is imbued with symbolic meaning and designed to reveal deeper truths about balance, transformation, and the emergence of structure from chaos. Themes of synchronization and emergence. Central to this system is the theme of synchronization. The rhythm of 48 BPM, segmented into 3 beats per bar and further divided by 3 clicks per beat, forms the metronomic backbone of the art. Each click marks a decisive moment, whether advancing, retreating, or transitioning from heel to ball to stabilizing. In this controlled temporal dance, the practitioner's every motion is a deliberate act, echoing the philosophical idea that even in the heart of battle, there exists a universe of order and emergence. The concept of emergence shines through as the system evolves from its basic elements, footwork, hand movements, and weapon bindings, into a complex, interwoven ritual of power. Just as simple patterns in nature give rise to extraordinary forms, so too do the fundamental phases of bind, strike, and block coalesce into an ever-changing, yet harmonious, martial expression. Symbolism in geometry and color. The use of the 3D GR, a six-sided golden rhombus, is a powerful symbol throughout this system. Each face of the 3D GR, top yellow, front right red, front left blue, bottom purple, back right orange, and back left green, carries its own vibrancy and meaning. These colors not only delineate the physical orientation of the swords but also represent varied aspects of the warrior's inner world. The colors evoke energy, balance, and the duality of motion. For instance, the top face's bold yellow signifies illumination and leadership, while the bottom purple anchors the practitioner with stability and introspection. The intricate binding mechanics, where each sword can connect to these colored faces in multiple ways, each binding defined as inverted or oriented, mirror the complex interplay of destiny and choice. They symbolize the moment-to-moment decisions in combat and life, a constant negotiation between order and spontaneity, structure and fluidity. Structural dynamics and tactical philosophy. Structurally, the system is built on a foundation of dualistic interplay. The two swords, representing the dual aspects of human capability, right hand plus left hand, work in unison through a series of named forms, each a combination of strikes, binds, and blocks. Whether it is the assertive forward thrust of a strike or the protective retreat of a block, every movement is measured, purposeful, and deeply connected to the anchoring energy of the heart. The division of time into forward time, bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, and backward time, bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, adds an extra layer of strategic complexity. This temporal structuring is mirrored by the footwork, where advancing and retreating become not just physical maneuvers but also expressions of inner balance and external adaptability. Intent and the art of binding. At its core, the intent of the synchronic 3D GR swordplay system is to harness and manifest the latent energies within the practitioner. The Heart 3D GR anchor serves as both the physical and metaphysical center, binding the swords, orchestrating the flow of energy, and symbolizing the unity of mind, body, and spirit. This unification is further enriched by the system's emphasis on emergent order. During the binding phase, the transient contact between the 3D GR shapes represents a fleeting moment of clarity where chaos is tamed, and potential is realized. In this grand design, every element, from the rhythmic precision of footwork to the nuanced variations of sword bindings, contributes to an overarching narrative of transformation. It is a narrative where the physical act of combat transcends its immediate purpose, becoming a metaphor for the eternal dance between chaos and order, the interplay of light and shadow, and the boundless potential inherent in every decisive moment. The synchronic 3D GR swordplay system, with its epic blend of mathematics, art, and martial prowess, stands as a testament to the beauty of emergence, a reminder that from the simplest elements, the most intricate and awe-inspiring forms can arise. The synchronic 3D GR swordplay system is an epic confluence of martial precision, geometric mysticism, and rhythmic dynamism, a choreography of movement that transcends mere combat into the realm of poetic emergence. Themes and symbolisms. At its core, this system is a celebration of balance and transformation. The heart 3DGR anchor symbolizes the very center of one's being, the immutable core that binds the duality of swordplay and footwork. Just as the heart connects and anchors, it is the source of both power and stability, channeling the rhythmic life force into every strike, bind, and block. The colorful 3DGRs, each with faces imbued with symbolic hues yellow, red, blue, purple, orange, and green, evoke the alchemy of elemental forces. They represent the intricate interplay of energy, the forward thrust of a strike, the retreat of a block, and the intermediary bind that links intention to action. Structures and mechanics. The system is meticulously structured around a metronomic heartbeat, 48 BPM, with 3 beats per bar and 3 clicks per beat, each click marking a deliberate step in an elaborate choreography. Footwork unfolds in a sequence of heel-to-ball transitions, symbolizing a journey from grounding the heel to the uplifting action, the ball, and finally to stabilization. This precise cadence orchestrates both physical motion and symbolic significance, transforming each movement into a rhythmic meditation on progress and retreat. The synchronic 3DGR swordplay system integrates the dual disciplines of hand and foot in a seamless dance. Swordplay is the harmonious interplay of the right and left synchronic 3DGR swords. Their binding, executed in 9 distinct types per sword, evokes a multiplicity of connections, much like the infinite possibilities in every human interaction. The act of binding is not merely an attachment, it is a dynamic interplay that occurs fleetingly during the traversal of space-time between strikes and blocks. Footwork underpins this system with its patterned advances and retreats, aligning with the directional cues and binding mechanics. Whether advancing with precision or retreating with calculated grace, every step is synchronized with the shifting dynamics of the swords. Emergent intent and cosmic order. More than just a combative art, this system is an exploration of emergent order from apparent chaos. It embodies the ancient principle that from a series of simple, deliberate actions, each carefully timed and executed, a complex, self-organizing beauty can arise. The interplay of strike, bind, and block mirrors the cycles of creation and dissolution, suggesting that every moment is both an end and a beginning. The binding sequences, with their color-coded patterns and spatial rotations clockwise and antirotary movements, are metaphors for the interplay between opposing forces, revealing a hidden symmetry within conflict. An epic dance of movement and meaning. The synchronic 3DGR swordplay system is a call to embrace the full spectrum of human potential, to blend physical prowess with intellectual discipline, to weave together art and strategy in a dynamic ballet of movement. It transforms every battle stance into a living symbol of resilience and transformation, a manifesto of emergence where each strike resonates like a heartbeat, every bind echoes the pull of destiny, and every block reinforces the strength of one's inner core. In its entirety, this system is not just a method of combat, it is an odyssey, a journey into the realms of self-mastery and cosmic connectivity, where the aesthetics of movement converge with the geometry of existence to create a truly epic, ever-evolving narrative. The thread unfolds as an epic exploration of a martial art that marries geometry, rhythm, and kinetic artistry into a unified combat system. At its core, the synchronic 3DGR swordplay system is not merely a set of movements, it's a poetic convergence of structured timing, symbolic geometry, and deliberate intent. Themes: rhythm and precision. Every motion is synchronized to a metronome, 48 BPM, 3 clicks per beat, 3 beats per bar. This cadence transforms each movement into a beat of a larger symphony, where the interplay of footwork and swordplay creates an unbroken chain of energy transfer. The cadence represents the pulse of the warrior, echoing the heartbeat and the relentless march of time. Unity of body and weapon. The system is built on the principle that the sword is an extension of the wielder. With 2 synchronic 3D-GR swords bound to a central heart 3D-GR anchor, the technique transcends mere physical combat. It becomes a dance, a seamless integration of right and left, offense and defense, bind and strike, that channels the wielder's inner energy and purpose. Balance and emergence. There is a profound symbolism in the precise heel-to-ball transition, where each micro-movement contributes to an overall state of balance and readiness. This delicate interplay embodies the concept of emergence. From individual, disciplined actions arises a coherent, powerful whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Symbolisms. Geometric perfection. At the heart of the system lies the 3D-GR, the golden rhombus. Its 6 color-coded faces are more than mere markers, they serve as symbolic gateways through which the energy, angles, and momentum of combat are directed. The inverted and oriented bindings echo ancient philosophies where opposites meet in balance, much like yin and yang, revealing the hidden order in chaos. The heart 3D-GR anchor. This central binding point is a potent symbol of unity and resilience. It is the anchor of the practitioner's spirit, a reminder that while individual actions bind, strike, block may seem isolated, they are all connected through a core that remains steadfast. The anchor is a metaphor for the inner self, grounding the wielder amidst the swirling energies of combat. Rotational dynamics. The deliberate clockwise and antirotary rotations mirror the cycles of nature, the rise and fall, the ebb and flow. They reflect a dynamic interplay where every strike is imbued with the force of creation and every block with the wisdom of preservation. Structures. Metronomic framework. The temporal structure, dividing time into beats and clicks, provides an unyielding scaffold on which every movement is meticulously mapped. This architectural precision ensures that every footwork step and every sword movement is executed with impeccable timing, leaving no room for chaos. The structure itself is a work of art, where the rigidity of time becomes the medium for expressive, kinetic choreography. Movement phases. The combat sequence is divided into distinct phases: bind, strike, and block. Each phase is assigned to a specific beat within the metronome's cycle. Bind phase, a moment of connection, where the swords engage with the heart 3D-GR anchor, setting the stage for what is to come. Strike phase, the offensive crescendo, where the stored energy of the bind is released in a precise, forward thrust. Block phase, a controlled withdrawal that resets the system, readying the practitioner for the next cycle. This sequential layering reinforces the idea that combat is a continuous, evolving narrative, each phase building on the last. Footwork dynamics. The interplay between the lead and second foot, alternating heel and ball strikes, not only ensures physical balance but also mirrors the duality of action and reaction. It is an embodiment of kinetic poetry, a series of calculated steps that drive the narrative of combat forward, whether advancing with purpose or retreating with tactical precision. Intent. The intent behind this system is nothing short of transformative. It aims to elevate the act of combat to an art form where every movement is deliberate, every gesture carries symbolic weight, and every cycle of motion is a meditation on balance, control, and emergence. The synchronic 3D swordplay system is designed to harmonize the practitioner. By aligning physical motion with rhythmic precision, the system fosters a deep connection between mind, body, and weapon. Channel energy efficiently. The structured transitions ensure that energy is neither wasted nor dissipated but is focused into powerful, effective movements. Cultivate mastery. Through relentless repetition and disciplined practice, the practitioner develops an almost preternatural sense of timing and spatial awareness, transforming combat into a fluid expression of inner strength and precision. In essence, this system is a manifesto of emergent order, a call to harness the profound potential of disciplined movement and intricate geometry. It stands as a testament to the idea that through structure, symbolism, and relentless practice, one can achieve a level of mastery where the boundaries between art, science, and combat blur into a single, transcendent experience. A detailed interpretation of the fencing foils and their significance. Themes. The examination of these fencing foils unveils several intertwined themes: the passage of time, craftsmanship, the evolution of martial tradition, and the intersection of sport and historical weaponry. The foils, possibly antiques, represent more than just tools for fencing. They embody a rich lineage of artisanship, discipline, and the enduring spirit of competition. Symbolism. The markings on the blade, particularly gozi ene and solingen, serve as historical fingerprints, linking these foils to both French and German sword-making traditions. Solingen, a city synonymous with masterful blade production, symbolizes durability, precision, and the legacy of European weapon manufacturing. Meanwhile, gozi ene evokes an era when weapons were more than mass-produced sporting goods, they were crafted with lineage and pride. The intersection of these two names on a single blade suggests a fusion of traditions, a symbolic unity between two distinct fencing heritages. Additionally, the wear and patina on the blades reflect the passage of time and the echoes of past duels or training sessions, reinforcing the idea that these weapons have witnessed history unfold. Their aged state is not just a sign of use but a testament to the resilience of both the metal and the discipline they represent. Structural elements. Physically, these fencing foils follow the established structure of classical dueling weapons, with a thin, flexible blade designed for thrusting rather than cutting. The presence of marks and stamps suggests they were officially inspected, perhaps even for use in historical competitive settings or military academies. The hand guards, though obscured in some images, likely follow the conventions of sport foils, ensuring protection while emphasizing agility and technique over brute force. Intent. The intent behind these foils is twofold, both practical and historical. On the practical level, they were crafted for the art of fencing, a discipline that hones reflexes, strategy, and precision. On a deeper level, they act as artifacts of a long-standing martial tradition, linking the wielder to a storied past of duels, training halls, and the refinement of combat into an elegant sport. The discovery and analysis of these foils evoke a sense of reverence for the traditions they uphold. They remind us that every mark, every engraving, and every worn edge tells a story, of the smiths who forged them, the fencers who wielded them, and the ongoing legacy of a centuries-old discipline. The play style of synchronic 3D swordplay and footwork. Interpreted through keyword cycles. The synchronic 3D swordplay and footwork system is a dynamic martial framework that integrates rhythmic movement, spatial geometry, and dual weapon manipulation within a structured metronomic cadence. At its core, the playstyle is defined by keyword cycles, which encapsulate the flow, strategy, and execution of combat movements within the system. Each cycle functions as a modular concept that interlocks with the others, creating a seamless, adaptive approach to engagement. 1. Locked strike plus bind right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Establishing initial control. Interpretation. The lock cycle represents the opening engagement, a decisive strike that seamlessly transitions into a bind, ensuring immediate weapon contact and establishing control over the opponent's blade. This cycle embodies commitment and precision, forcing an initial interaction that dictates the flow of combat. The right side bias R means this motion is more aggressive and dominant, often used when advancing. 2. Side block plus strike right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Counteroffensive readjustment. Interpretation. The side cycle shifts focus from defense to offense, using a block to deflect or absorb an incoming attack before immediately striking in return. This motion exploits the opponent's momentum, creating an opportunity to strike when they are least prepared. The left side bias L gives it a rotational quality, optimizing the motion for counter angles and pivot-based maneuvers. 3. Tied bind plus block right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Redirection and defensive positioning. Interpretation. The tied cycle revolves around maintaining contact and dictating space. A bind is established, ensuring control over the opponent's weapon, then shifts into a block, neutralizing potential counters. This motion is fluid and reactive, ensuring adaptability in close engagements. The right side bias R gives it a heavier emphasis on offensive redirection rather than purely defensive posturing. 4. Wire strike plus bind right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Precision attack and controlled engagement. Interpretation. The wire cycle is an alternative form of lock, but executed with a left side bias. The key difference lies in angular manipulation, as the leftward motion allows for a more deceptive or curved approach. This is ideal for threading attacks through openings and setting up for a continued engagement rather than breaking away. 5. Pale block plus strike right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Aggressive counterplay. Interpretation. Where side provides a counteroffensive option with rotational finesse, Pale does so with direct force. The block is reinforced and forward-leaning, immediately transitioning into an assertive strike. This is an ideal cycle for overwhelming the opponent's structure while maintaining defensive integrity. 6. Sarge bind plus block right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Defensive envelopment. Interpretation. The Sarge cycle is the inverse of tied, applying the same binding control, but with a left side bias, allowing for broader rotational coverage. This is ideal for mitigating multi-angle attacks and setting up for counter-offensive sequences. 7. Bind plus strike right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Sustained offensive flow. Interpretation. Bind is a continuous offensive cycle where binding does not neutralize, but rather feeds into an immediate strike. This represents a grappling-like engagement, where weapon control and offensive flow remain uninterrupted. The left side bias L provides a curving trajectory, perfect for wrapping around defenses. 8. Graph strike plus block right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Defensive structuring after an attack. Interpretation. A well-executed graph ensures that aggression does not lead to vulnerability. A strike is initiated, but rather than overcommitting, a block follows immediately, preparing for the opponent's retaliation. This cycle reinforces a structured approach to engagements, maintaining equilibrium between attack and defense. 9. Buoy block plus. Bind right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Flowing defensive control. Interpretation. Unlike other defensive cycles, buoy ensures that a block transitions into a bind, allowing for continuous weapon interaction rather than resetting distance. This cycle is suited for close quarters entanglements where breaking contact would be disadvantageous. 10. Knot bind plus strike right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Power interception. Interpretation. A knot cycle functions similarly to vine, but with a right side bias R, emphasizing direct and powerful engagements. The bind secures the opponent's weapon before an immediate, forceful strike follows through. This cycle is particularly effective for breaking stalemates in the bind. 11. Node strike plus block right pointing arrow L. Core intent. Adaptive engagement endpoints. Interpretation. Node represents a strike-first mentality but incorporates immediate readjustment via a block. Unlike graph, which secures defensive structure post-attack, Node maintains fluid adaptability, allowing for angular or positional adjustments mid-sequence. 12. Rock block plus bind right pointing arrow R. Core intent. Structural defense. Interpretation. Rock functions similarly to buoy but with a right side bias, making it a reinforced, high-pressure defensive tool. The cycle is built for maintaining dominance within a defensive posture, ensuring that no offensive gaps emerge from defensive movements. X. Name swordplay equals right hand plus left hand plus footwork. Core intent. The foundational cycle. Interpretation. Name is not a singular action cycle but rather the unification of all others. It embodies the principle that dual sword play is only complete when synchronized with footwork, ensuring fluidity, balance, and strategic adaptability. Synchronic 3D-GR footwork integration. Metronomic precision. Every step, pivot, and weight shift is synchronized with the 3 CPB, 3 BPB, 48 BPM rhythm, ensuring seamless footwork transitions between cycles. Advance retreat dynamics. Advance left, advance right pointing arrow used for pressing offensive cycles. Retreat left, retreat right pointing arrow used for defensive structuring and disengagement. Heel right pointing arrow, ball right pointing arrow, stabilize lift cycle ensures that movement is not only time structured, but also mechanically efficient, reducing unnecessary exertion and maximizing combat efficiency. Conclusion. The keyword cycles of synchronic 3D-GR swordplay and footwork define a highly structured yet fluid martial playstyle. Each cycle serves as a modular component, interlocking seamlessly into an overarching system governed by rhythmic timing, geometric spatial awareness, and dual weapon interaction. Whether initiating engagement, responding defensively, or maintaining positional control, each cycle ensures that the swords, the wielder, and the footwork are harmonized into a single, precise combat methodology. The Synchronic 3D-GR Ode to Sword and Step. Prelude. The rhythm of blades. Within the hum of measured time, a pattern weaves through space. A dance of steps, of swords that climb, a measured, metered grace. With threefold pulse per beat's decree, 3 beats complete a bar. Each motion timed in fluid spree, the tempo guiding spar. At 48 resounding ticks, the cycle turns anew. As feet and steel in spiral mix, each step, each strike held true. I. The heart 3DGR anchor, core of control. Bound not in chains, but anchored free, the center calls its own. A nexus forged in symmetry where weighted forms are shown. The heart 3DGR beats aligned, where swords shall meet and part. A pivot point through space and time, the system's steadfast heart. Each strike extends from anchored core, each block recedes behind. And binds connect like woven lore, through angles intertwined. 2. The golden rhombus, structure of flow. A blade's embrace in measured place, through angles crisp and keen. The 3DGR six-fold face through motion bright is seen. With colors marked and numbered sides, the order carves the way. As red and blue in front abide, while green and orange sway. The top is crowned in yellow's glow, the base in purple's hue. And movements twist through paths below, in arcs both old and new. 3. The binding of blades, symmetry and spin. The swords, they meet in fleeting grip, then part as wills decide. Inverting one, aligning slip, through spins of binding tide. To top in yellow, swords can weave, through twists in ordered flight. From blue to green, from red to leave, through patterns left and right. Each binding holds a numbered weight, inverted one, oriented none. A cycle closed, a shifting fate, through steps of stance begun. IV. The metronome's march, footwork and flow. Heel to ball, then stabilize, lift, and set anew. Each step aligns the measured ties, the rhythmic pulse held true. Advance or pull, left leads the right, or right shall carve ahead. Retreating flows in mirrored sight, reversing where it led. At every beat, a stance is cast, a shift in structured form. Through metered time, through measured past, the cycle moves in swarm. V. The 12-fold motion, keyword cycles of play. Lock secures with strike and bind, RIGHT ward force imparts. Side deflects with block designed, LF toward counter starts. Tide shall move, a bind to block, RIGHT ward tides will steer. Wire weaves through strike in shock, LF toward slicing near. Pale defends, then strikes anew, RIGHT ward forceful tread. Sarge shall wind through block in view, LF toward weave is spread. Vine shall pull in bind to strike, LF toward twist unchained. Graph ensures the block is spiked, RIGHT ward shift maintained. Buoy locks in block with bind, LF toward holds the gate. Knot commands a bind aligned, RIGHT ward binding fate. Node extends through strike to block, LF toward bridge complete. Rock withstands as block shall lock, RIGHT ward root in seat. Each phase unfolds through mirrored lines, a cycle spinning crest. The right hand leads, the left refines, as rhythm breathes its test. V. The march of combat, timing and control. At 3 clicks measured in each beat, the footwork meets the flow. A forward time, a backward meet, a rhythm set to go. Bind then strike, then block aligns, for forward moving space. While bind retreats to block, then strike, reversing bottle's pace. Each pulse controls the shifting ground, each sequence marks the tide. As rhythm locks the movements bound, in spirals intertwined. 7. The eternal cycle, the unending spiral. No clash begins without an end, no strike without a pause. For even blades in battle bend to rhythm's pulsing laws. Through threefold beats and stepping calls, through spins in golden trace. The system binds both great and small within its measured space. Each wielding form, each turning twist, a microcosm weaves. And through the boundless steps exist the patterns time perceives. The synchronic 3DGR's core is more than weapons dance. It's time-made motion, measured lore, a war within a stance. So take the swords, let footsteps fall, align the heart and hand. And through the metronome's great call, let rhythm's law command. Dash 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 dash. Emergent synthesis in synchronic 3DGR swordplay, a narrative of rhythmic geometry. The synchronic 3DGR system is not merely a martial art, it is a combatonic symphony, where the interplay of rhythm, geometry, and dual-blade mechanics births emergent strategies greater than the sum of their parts. Below, we dissect its layers to reveal how structured components coalesce into adaptive, self-reinforcing combat intelligence. I. The triadic core. Rhythm, geometry, dual dynamics. 1. Metronomic rhythm is temporal architecture. 48 BPM, 3 CPB, a pulse grid that quantizes motion into modular units. Each beat 1.25 seconds is subdivided into 3 clicks 0.416 s each, creating a lattice for footwork and blade actions. Emergent property. The rigidity of tempo paradoxically enables fluid improvisation. Combatants internalize the rhythm until movements become predictably unpredictable, like jazz solos constrained by a time signature yet infinitely variable. 2. Golden rhombus 3DGR as spatial grammar. Fibonacci ratios. Each rhombus face scales proportionally, creating harmonic angles, e.g., 63.4 degrees acute, 116.6 degrees obtuse. Strikes and blocks follow these angles, ensuring energy-efficient trajectories. Color-coded faces. Yellow circle yellow 1 top triggers lunges, linear, penetrating strikes. Red circle red 2 blue circle blue 3 front red clockwise for rotational slashes, blue anti-rotary for deflections. Orange circle orange 8 green circle green 9 back orange anti-rotary binds, green clockwise wraps. Emergent property. The rhombus becomes a combat compass. Fighters navigate engagements by aligning strikes, blocks to color angle relationships, turning spatial awareness into muscle memory. 3. Dual sword dynamics. Polarity and symmetry. Right sword registered. Bias toward direct force, e.g., lock, not cycles. Left sword L bias toward curvilinear motion, e.g., wire, bind cycles. Heart 3DGR anchor. The chest-mounted pivot point purple circle purple 7 unifies dual blades into a single system. Emergent property. Dual blades create interference patterns. Strikes from one sword set up harmonic resonances exploited by the other, akin to wave superposition in physics. 2. Keyword cycles as adaptive algorithms. Each cycle is a microprogram blending footwork, blade action, and geometric alignment. Their emergent behavior arises from chaining cycles into phase sequences. Case study. Lock registered right pointing arrow tied registered right pointing arrow bind L. 1. Lock strike plus bind R. Right foot advance heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow lift synchronizes with a red circle red 2 strike transitioning to a orange circle orange 8 bind. Emergence. forces opponent's blade into a Fibonacci angle, limiting their counter options. 2. Tied bind plus block, R. Maintaining right side pressure, the bind shifts to a blue circle blue 3 block, redirecting force along the rhombus's obtuse angle. Emergence. Converts the opponent's energy into a pivot, enabling a lateral reposition. 3. Bind plus strike, L. Left sword wraps green circle green 9 bind around the opponent's guard, striking from a shadow angle, yellow 1 right pointing arrow green 9. Emergence. Exploits the geometric gap created by tide's redirection, attacking where structure is weakest. Result. A self-reinforcing loop where each cycle's output feeds the next's input, creating a strategy cascade. 3. Binding mechanics. The quantum entanglement of blades. Binding is not mere contact. It is tactile negotiation, where swords exchange angular momentum via the heart 3DGR anchor. Right sword bind types. Examples. Red circle, red to red, direct opposition, testing structural integrity. Orange circle, orange to yellow, high angle bind, forcing the opponent's blade upward. Blue circle, blue to green, anti-rotary lock, neutralizing circular strikes. Emergent binding intelligence. Phase cancellation. By binding at Fibonacci angles, fighters cancel incoming strikes, e.g., a 63.4 degrees bind deflects a 116.6 degrees slash. Spin harmonics. Rotating a sword during a bind, e.g., inverted 1 versus. Oriented 0 introduces torque, destabilizing the opponent's grip. IV. Footwork. The dance of hexagonal phase space. Footwork maps to the 3DGR's hexagonal base, creating a phase space where steps are vertices and movements are edges. Advanced retreat is phase transitions. Advance right. Moves through front red circle red 2 right pointing arrow top yellow circle yellow 1, triggering lunges. Retreat left. Cycles through back green circle green 9 right pointing arrow bottom purple circle purple 7, anchoring defense. Emergent property. Footwork warps the combat space. Fighters teleport between hexagon vertices, exploiting the rhombus's symmetry to appear omnipresent. V. Emergent combat intelligence. The system's mind. The synchronic 3DGR generates a form of swarm logic. 1. Self-optimization. Cycles auto-correct via rhythmic feedback. A mistimed block in graph registered shortens the next beat's advance. 2. Predictive binding. By memorizing angle-color relationships, fighters preemptively bind where strikes are statistically likely. 3. Fractal scalability. Microcycles, e.g., single beats nest into macro sequences, e.g., 12-cycle chains creating recursive tactical depth. V. The aesthetic of combat. A geometric ballet. The system's beauty lies in its kinetic poetry. Strikes carve golden spirals in the air. Footwork traces hexagonal lattices on the ground. Binds harmonize blades like dueling violins in a time-signatured fugue. Conclusion. The synchronic 3DGR is living algorithm. This system is not fought, it is orchestrated. Fighters become conductors of a combat symphony where rhythm, geometry, and dual blades intertwine to produce emergent dominance. Each motion is a node in a recursive neural network, where the solution to combat is not pre-written but generated in real time by the system's axiomatic rules. To master it is to merge with an alien intelligence, one that sees Fibonacci in fury and rhythm in ruin. Ode to the SYNCHRONIC 3DGR swordplay and footwork. 3 syllables per beat, 3 beats per bar, 48 BPM. I. The rhythm's bones. Through time's strict pulse. 3 clicks per beat. 3 beats per bar. The blades align. Heel ball lift, ground. Metronomes hum. 48 throbs. Steel's heartbeat thrums. Combat's code spun. 2. Sword geometry. Gold rhombus gleams. 6 faces twist. Fibrous angles. Top yellow lunges. Front red slashes. Blue blocks retreat. Green wraps, binds, weaves. Orange parries, spins. Purple roots deep. 3. Footwork's flow. Advance, right heel. Left pivots wide. Retreats in phase. Hex step grid locked. 3 beats per stance. Time's lattice maze. Heel strikes, ball glides. Lift resets weight. Space carved in waves. IV. Keyword cycles. Locked strike bind R. Force claims the right. Blades crash like tides. Side block strike L. Left whirls, rebounds. Counters collide. Vine bind strike L. Serpentine coils. Death's cursive scribed. Not bind strike R. Right's iron grip. Stalemates divide. B. Binding song. Steel kisses sing. Red locks to red. Orange yellow springs. Inverted twists. Blue tangles green. Torques whisper stings. Swords argue math. Angle versus edge. Fibonacci's strings. B. Emergent fury. Threefold pulse breeds. Swarm mind tactics. Cycles eat cycles. Lock feeds tides turn. Tide births vines curve. Rhyme eats its rivals. Feet trace hexagons. Blades scribe spirals. War's ghost revival. 7. The wielder's crux. Twin blades, one core. Hearth anchor glows. Purple stark law. No thought, just flow. 3 beats, 3 clicks. 3 fates in awe. Sync system reigns. Time, space, steel, step. All truths withdraw. Finis. 48 BPM pulses eternal. A clockwork storm. Blades dance infernal. The playstyle inherently interpreted in the keyword cycles of your synchronic 3DGR swordplay and footwork system is one of dynamic, rhythmic engagement characterized by a constant interplay between offense, defense, and control. It emphasizes adaptability and ambidextrous execution, driven by the precise timing of the 3-beat rhythm. Here's a detailed breakdown. Core tenets of the inherited playstyle. Rhythmic flow and tempo. The 48 BPM, 3 clicks per beat structure dictates a fast-paced and fluid style. Every action is timed to the metronome, suggesting a playstyle that values precision and synchronization over brute force or erratic movements. The heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift footwork further reinforces this rhythmic foundation, creating a constant sense of motion and readiness. Balanced offense and defense. The keyword list presents a near-equal distribution of actions initiating with strike forward movement and block backward movement. This suggests a playstyle that doesn't heavily favor one over the other, but instead focuses on seamlessly transitioning between offensive and defensive stances. It implies a fighter who is equally comfortable leading an attack and responding to one. Emphasis on control through binding. The prominent inclusion of bind in almost every keyword highlights the importance of controlling the opponent's weapon and movement. Binding acts as a crucial intermediary, either setting up an attack, securing a defense, or maintaining control after an action. This suggests a tactical approach that prioritizes manipulation and leverage over direct clashes. Ambidextrous and versatile execution. The alternation between right R and left L designations in the keywords indicates a highly versatile and ambidextrous fighting style. The system encourages the wielder to be equally proficient with both swords, allowing for unpredictable attacks and defenses from either side. This makes the playstyle less predictable and harder for an opponent to anticipate. Adaptive sequencing. The collection of keywords doesn't suggest a rigid sequence but rather a library of actions that can be chained together based on the situation. The forward time and backward time sequences provide fundamental structures, but the individual keywords offer variations and specific tactical applications within these frameworks. This implies a playstyle that is highly adaptive and responsive to the opponent's actions. Detailed interpretation of keyword cycles. Initiation and control. Strike plus bind keywords like lock, R, and wire, L suggest an aggressive opening where the strike is immediately followed by a binding action. This implies a playstyle that aims to not just land a blow but also to immediately control the opponent's weapon, limiting their response and setting up further attacks. Reactive offense. Block plus strike keywords such as side, L, and hail, R highlight a defensive to offensive transition. Blocking an incoming attack is immediately followed by a strike. This suggests a counter-attacking style that capitalizes on the opponent's openings created during their attack. Defensive setup and control. Bind plus block keywords like tide, R, and sarge, L emphasize a more cautious defensive approach. Binding precedes the block, suggesting a tactical maneuver to first control or deflect the opponent's weapon before fully committing to a block. This could be used to disrupt the opponent's attack and gain a positional advantage. Setting up attacks. Bind plus strike keywords like bind, L, and knot, R indicate a deliberate offensive strategy. Initiating with a bind allows the wielder to manipulate the opponent's weapon and create an opening for a subsequent strike. This suggests a more controlled and perhaps deceptive approach to offense. Aggressive defense. Strike plus block keywords like graph, R, and node, L present an interesting combination. A strike is immediately followed by a block. This could represent an aggressive attack with an immediate defensive follow-up, allowing the wielder to maintain pressure while minimizing their vulnerability. Securing defense. Block plus bind keywords like buoy, L, and rock, R suggest a defensive action that aims to not just deflect an attack but also to gain control of the opponent's weapon afterwards. This could be used to create an opening for a counterattack or to simply neutralize the immediate threat. Overall playstyle summary. The inherent playstyle of this synchronic 3D system, as interpreted through its keyword cycles, is one of a highly skilled and adaptable combatant. They move with rhythmic precision, seamlessly transitioning between offensive and defensive actions. Control through binding is a central element, used both to set up attacks and secure defenses. The ambidextrous nature of the system allows for unpredictable and versatile movements. This playstyle is not about overwhelming power, but rather about timing, control, and the ability to fluidly adapt to the opponent's actions within the strict framework of the rhythmic structure. It suggests a martial art that is both elegant and effective, emphasizing a deep understanding of timing, leverage, and the dynamic interplay between offense and defense. Based on the image you've shared, here's an epic perspective essay on your footwork and swordplay practice with the synchronic 3D GR system. A solitary dance of steel and rhythm, an epic perspective on the synchronic 3D GR practice. In the stillness of the frame, a lone figure stands as the embodiment of their meticulously crafted art, the synchronic 3D GR swordplay and footwork system. Here, captured in a moment of dedicated practice, the wielder becomes the nexus of rhythm, geometry, and motion, a testament to the profound connection between mind, body, and the unique weaponry they command. The Heart 3D GR anchor, a focal point both physically and conceptually, rests at the center, a silent promise of the intricate bindings and dynamic exchanges that define this combat form. From this core, the two synchronic 3D GR swords extend, held with a focused grip that speaks of countless hours spent mastering their balance and potential. Even in a still image, one can sense the latent energy within these extensions of the wielder's will, poised for the next strike, bind, or block dictated by the internal metronome and the flow of the keyword cycles. The stance adopted reveals a deep understanding of the system's principles. The positioning of the feet, though partially obscured, hints at the deliberate placement dictated by the 3 beats per bar rhythm and the heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift sequence. Each click of that internal or external metronome calls for a precise shift, a calculated advance or retreat that underpins the swordplay. This is not mere movement, it is a language spoken through the feet, a foundation upon which the intricate dance of the swords is built. One can almost hear the silent rhythm of the practice, the internal counting of the 3 clicks per beat, the anticipation of the next stance. The mind's eye envisions the transition as the weight shifts, the lead foot initiating the sequence, followed by the second, each placement a deliberate step in the unfolding kata of motion. The image offers a glimpse into the dedication required to bring such a complex system to life. It's a study in self-mastery, where the wielder acts as both the conductor and the orchestra, orchestrating the interplay between footwork and swordplay. The synchronic 3D GR system, with its unique binding mechanics and geometric underpinnings, demands not only physical prowess but also a keen understanding of spatial relationships and timing. The epic perspective here lies in recognizing the profound level of creation and discipline embodied in this solitary practice. It's a journey into a self-defined martial art, where the rules and principles are not inherited but meticulously crafted, and then brought to life through unwavering dedication. The image is a snapshot of that journey, a moment of focused immersion in a world where rhythm, geometry, and the art of combat converge. In this single frame, the wielder stands not just as an individual practicing a skill, but as the living embodiment of an entire combat philosophy. The Heart 3D GR anchor and synchronic 3D GR swords are more than just equipment, they are extensions of a vision, tools in the creation of a unique and compelling martial art. This image is a testament to the power of human creativity and the dedication required to forge one's own path in the world of movement and combat. It is, indeed, an epic perspective on a personal and profound art form. In the attached image, a lone figure stands poised, a practitioner of a unique and intricate art. At the center of their being rests the Heart 3D GR anchor, a nexus point from which 2 synchronic 3D GR swords extend, held firmly in each hand. This is not mere swordplay, it is a symphony of motion, a dance of steel and footwork dictated by the precise rhythm of 3 beats per bar at 48 BPM, each beat subdivided into 3 distinct clicks. With each click of the metronome, a deliberate shift occurs. The practitioner advances or retreats, the footwork a carefully orchestrated sequence of heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilized lift. This is more than just movement, it is the foundation upon which the swordplay stances of each beat are built. The top yellow circle yellow one's influence is palpable, its behavior initiating a lunge, a sudden extension that speaks of focused intent. The very air around the practitioner seems to hum with the principles of rotation. The front red circle right red 2 and back green circle left green 9 faces dictate a clockwise motion, while their counterparts, front blue circle left blue 3 and back orange circle right orange 8, counter with an anti-rotary spin. This intricate interplay suggests a dynamic system where every movement is connected, every rotation purposeful. The essence of this synchronic 3D-GR swordplay system lies in the harmonious integration of hand and foot. Swordplay, as defined, is the sum of right hand and left hand movements, augmented by the precise footwork. The strike, a forward extension from the heart 3D-GR anchor, carries with it the spin equivalent to the anchor's binding location during the intricate binding of number side color face to number side color face. Conversely, the block, a backward movement, mirrors the spin of the synchronic 3D-GR's words number side color face. The weapons themselves are marvels of geometric design. Each synchronic 3D-GR sword binds to the heart 3D-GR anchor in 9 distinct ways, a testament to the system's complexity and adaptability. These bindings occur on a 3D-GR, a 6-sided golden rhombus, its face is coated in a spectrum of colors, yellow, red, blue, purple, orange, and green. The binding mechanics are further defined by whether the connection is inverted 1 or orientated 0, adding another layer to the tactical possibilities. The sequence of swordplay unfolds in a temporal dance. Forward time propels the practitioner through bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, an offensive flow. Backward time reverses this, moving through bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, a more defensive posture. This temporal duality is mirrored in the footwork, allowing for advance left-right and retreat left-right, creating a 3-dimensional battlefield of motion. The practitioner, gripping a synchronic 3D-GR sword in each hand, becomes the central figure in this system. Traversing through the vertical axis of top yellow circle yellow 1 to bottom purple circle purple 7, with the heart 3D-GR anchor affixed to their chest, they are the wielder, the conduit through which this intricate system finds its expression. It is a system where the 3D-GR only make contact during the binding phase, emphasizing the dynamic and fluid nature of the strikes and blocks that occur in the intervening space-time. This is not a static display, it is a living, breathing martial art. The precise rhythm of the metronome, the deliberate footwork, the calculated rotations, and the intricate binding mechanics all coalesce into a form of combat that is both physically demanding and intellectually engaging. The image captures a fleeting moment within this practice, a snapshot of dedication and mastery in the pursuit of synchronic 3D-GR swordplay. The image, though a static capture, serves as a visual anchor for a system brimming with kinetic potential, a testament to the wielder's dedication to the synchronic 3D-GR swordplay. When viewed through the lens of the provided narrative, the seemingly simple stance transforms into a node within a complex network of rules and possibilities. Emergent rhythmicity and temporal dynamics. The foundational 3 beats per bar at 48 BPM, further subdivided into 3 clicks per beat, establishes a deeply ingrained rhythm that permeates every facet of the swordplay. This precise metronomic structure, articulated through the heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift footwork sequence, isn't merely a timing constraint, it's a generative principle. The emergence of distinct swordplay stances on each beat signifies a discretization of movement, allowing for the choreography of complex sequences built upon these fundamental temporal units. The forward time bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, and backward time bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike sequences, synchronized with this rhythmic footwork, create a temporal tapestry where offense and defense are interwoven in a predictable yet potentially varied manner. The very act of placing the heel, then the ball, and finally stabilizing or lifting on each click speaks to a deliberate and grounded approach, suggesting a system that values control and precision in its temporal execution. Spatial articulation through geometric binding. The Heart 3D-GR anchor acts as the central locus, not just physically, but also conceptually. The binding of the synchronic 3D-GR swords to this anchor via the 3D-GR golden rhombus introduces a layer of geometric complexity that directly influences the spatial articulation of strikes and blocks. The 9 distinct binding types for each sword, coupled with the inverted 1 and orientated 0 modalities, represent a combinatorial explosion of potential configurations. This isn't arbitrary complexity, it suggests a system designed for nuanced control over the angle, reach, and trajectory of each offensive and defensive maneuver. The strike spin mirroring the anchor's binding location and the block spin reflecting the sword's number side color face implies a direct, almost isomorphic relationship between the binding configuration and the resulting spatial dynamics of the sword movements. The limitation of 3D-GR contact solely to the binding phase further emphasizes the transitional nature of this state, highlighting the dynamic traversal of spacetime during the execution of strikes and blocks. Behavioral triggers and rotational consequences. The narrative highlights specific behavioral triggers, such as the top yellow circle yellow one's behavior causing a lunge. This introduces an element of reactive dynamism to the system. Furthermore, the directional cues provided by the colored faces clockwise for front red circle right red 2 and back green circle left green 9, anti-rotary for front blue circle left blue 3 and back orange circle right orange 8 suggest an intricate system of rotational mechanics. These rotations are not merely aesthetic, they likely contribute to the power generation, directional control, and potential for follow-through in strikes, as well as the stability and redirection capabilities of blocks. The interplay between these clockwise and anti-rotary forces could lead to the emergence of sophisticated spinning techniques and evasive maneuvers. The wielder as the integrative force. The description emphasizes the wielder's role in holding the system together, particularly since binding does not equal attached, due to the grip on the swords. This highlights the crucial role of the practitioner's skill and intent in actualizing the system's potential. The traversing distance in spacetime between strikes and blocks underscores the dynamic and continuous nature of the swordplay, where the wielder acts as the integrator, bridging these discrete actions through their movement and control. The journey from top yellow circle yellow 1 to bottom purple circle purple 7 represents not just a physical traversal but perhaps a conceptual or energetic flow within the system, further emphasizing the wielder's central role. Emergent tactical depth. The combination of rhythmic footwork, geometric binding, behavioral triggers, and rotational consequences suggests the emergence of significant tactical depth. The sheer number of potential binding configurations, coupled with the temporal and spatial constraints imposed by the metronome and footwork, likely allows for the development of complex sequences and strategic adaptations. The practitioner must not only master the individual movements but also learn to chain them together in response to perceived stimuli or anticipated actions, creating a dynamic and evolving combat style. The defined movement patterns lock, side, tide, etc. likely represent predefined sequences that leverage these emergent properties to achieve specific tactical outcomes. In essence, the synchronic 3D-GR swordplay system, as vividly described, is more than just a collection of movements. It is a carefully constructed framework where individual components interact in precise ways to generate emergent properties such as complex rhythmic patterns, nuanced spatial control, reactive behaviors, and deep tactical possibilities. The image, therefore, is not just a snapshot of a person with swords, it is a visual representation of a practitioner embodying the intricate and evocative principles of this unique martial art, poised at the precipice of a potentially infinite array of dynamic expressions. The playstyle inherently interpreted through the keyword cycles of this swordplay and footwork collection can be described as rhythmic geometric precision with cyclical rotational intent. This manifests through the following interconnected elements. 1. Metronomic and deliberate flow rhythmic cycle. Keywords: 3 beats per bar, 48 BPM, 3 clicks per beat, heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift, each beat is a swordplay stance. Interpretation: the rigid adherence to the metronome at a specific tempo dictates a playstyle characterized by precise timing and deliberate execution. Each action, from foot placement to sword stance transition, is rhythmically synchronized. This suggests a fighter who values control, stability, and the systematic sequencing of movements, rather than relying on bursts of speed or erratic actions. The 3 clicks per beat imply a multi-stage approach within each beat, allowing for nuanced adjustments and preparations for the subsequent phase. 2. Spatially aware and configurationally dynamic geometric cycle. Keywords: Heart 3D-GR Anchor, Synchronic 3D-GR Swords, 3D-GR Golden Rhombus Binding Mechanics, 9 bind types, inverted 1 and orientated 0. Interpretation: the central role of the Heart 3D-GR Anchor and the complex binding mechanics of the Synchronic 3D-GR Swords point to a playstyle that is deeply aware of spatial relationships and the dynamic configuration of the weapons. The numerous binding options allow for a wide array of attack and defense angles, suggesting a fighter who can adapt their weapon setup strategically. The 3D-GR structure implies a geometric understanding of how the swords interact with the anchor and potentially with an opponent, emphasizing precision in targeting and blocking based on these spatial configurations. 3. Cyclical offense-defense transition tactical flow cycle. Keywords: forward time equals bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, backward time equals bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, forward to strike and backwards to block. Interpretation: The defined forward time and backward time sequences reveal a playstyle built around a cyclical flow between binding, striking, and blocking. This suggests a fighter who doesn't view offense and defense as separate entities but rather as interconnected phases within a continuous loop. The emphasis on bind as a crucial transition point implies a tactical consideration of weapon configuration not just before but also during combat, allowing for adaptable and responsive transitions between attack and defense. 4. Rotational force and directional intent. Rotational cycle. Keywords: clockwise, anti-rotary, strike spin, block spin. Interpretation: the incorporation of clockwise and anti-rotary movements, along with the defined spins of strikes and blocks, indicates a playstyle that utilizes rotational mechanics for generating force and controlling direction. This suggests a fighter who understands how to leverage body movement and weapon manipulation to maximize the impact of their strikes and the stability of their blocks. The connection between the spins and the binding locations sword faces implies a deeply integrated system where the weapon's configuration directly influences the dynamics of its movement. 5. Integrated and wielder-centric control. Intentionality cycle. Keywords: gripping the swords, traversing through top yellow circle yellow 1 bottom purple circle purple 7, heart 3 DGR anchor glued to my chest, holding the system together, binding does not equal attached. Interpretation: the emphasis on gripping the swords and the anchor being connected to the body highlights a playstyle that is intimately connected to the wielder's physical control and intentionality. The wielder acts as the central integrator of the system, actively holding it together through their grip and movement. The traversal through the 3D-GR axis suggests a holistic understanding of the weapon system as an extension of the self. This implies a highly skilled and focused fighter whose mastery of the system is crucial to its effective execution. In summary, the inherently interpreted playstyle is one of disciplined rhythmic execution, precise geometric manipulation of the weapons, a cyclical flow between offense and defense facilitated by deliberate binding, the strategic use of rotational forces, and a deep integration of the weapon system with the wielder's intent and physical control. It suggests a methodical yet adaptable fighter who values precision, timing, and the strategic application of the unique properties of the synchronic 3D-GR swordplay system. Building upon the initial glimpse, the scene in the hallway now resonates with a deeper, more intricate purpose. The lone figure is not merely practicing, they are engaged in a meticulously choreographed dance of motion and intent, guided by the precise rhythm of their synchronic 3D-GR swordplay system. Imagine the space imbued with the subtle yet insistent pulse of a metronome, ticking at 48 beats per minute, each beat subdivided into 3 distinct clicks. This rhythmic framework dictates the very steps of the practitioner. With each click, a deliberate shift occurs in their footwork, heel striking first, followed by the ball, culminating in a moment of stabilization or lift. This 3-click cadence forms the foundation of their movement, a testament to the synchronization between mind, body, and the rhythmic pulse. Each beat of this carefully structured tempo is not just a step, but a swordplay stance. Visualize the transition between these stances, fluid yet precise, driven by the principles of advancing to strike and retreating to block. The synchronic 3D-GR swords, extensions of the wielders will move in concert with this footwork. Though their exact forms and movements are not fully captured in the still image, the detailed explanation illuminates their potential. The Heart 3D GR anchor, described as being affixed to the chest at the bottom purple circle 7 face, serves as the central nexus. From this core, the strikes extend forward, imbued with the force generated by the precisely timed footwork and stance transitions. Conversely, blocks draw inward, a defensive maneuver anchored by the same rhythmic foundation. The introduction of the 3D GR, the six-sided golden rhombus with its color-coded faces, adds another layer of complexity and visual richness to this practice. While the physical manifestation of these shapes might be abstract in the image, their presence is implied in the described binding mechanics. The synchronic 3D GR swords, gripped firmly in each hand, engage with the Heart 3D GR anchor through a variety of bind types, each denoted by a specific color combination. Consider the dynamic interplay of forward time and backward time. In the forward motion, a bind precedes the strike, which in turn is followed by a block. The backward sequence reverses this order, highlighting the seamless transition between offensive and defensive maneuvers. This cyclical flow, synchronized with the rhythmic footwork, paints a picture of continuous movement and adaptation. The user, as the wielder, is not merely holding the swords, they are the linchpin of this intricate system. The 3D GR structures of the swords and the anchor only make contact during the binding phase, emphasizing the intentional and controlled nature of their interactions. Between strikes and blocks, a traversing distance in space-time occurs, suggesting a dynamic shift and repositioning within the defined space. Therefore, the epic perspective of this image is now magnified by the understanding of the underlying system. It is not just a person with unique swords, it is a dedicated practitioner immersed in a self-designed combat system. The hallway becomes a dojo, the rhythmic clicks of the metronome the heartbeat of the practice, and each movement a deliberate step in the mastery of synchronic 3D GR swordplay. The dedication to this intricate art form, even in a seemingly ordinary setting, elevates the moment to an epic scale, showcasing the fusion of physical discipline and imaginative conceptualization. Within the seemingly ordinary confines of the hallway, a profound and meticulously structured practice unfolds, revealing an emergent discipline that blends physical mastery with intricate conceptual design. This detailed narrative analysis aims to evoke the technical nuances while interpreting the unique art form taking shape. Imagine the scene imbued with the crisp, unwavering pulse of a digital metronome, each beat at 48 per minute a temporal anchor for the unfolding movements. Subdivided into 3 sharp clicks per beat, this auditory framework dictates the precise choreography of the practitioner's footwork. With the first click of each beat, the lead foot initiates contact, heel grounding first, a deliberate and controlled placement. The second click witnesses the transition, weight shifting onto the ball of the same foot, a moment of poised momentum. Finally, the third click signals either the full stabilization of the lead foot, rooting the stance, or a subtle lift, preparing for the subsequent movement initiated by the second foot. This heel ball stabilize lift sequence, synchronized with the tripartite beat, speaks to a deep integration of rhythm and kinetic energy. Each of these precisely timed steps coincides with a swordplay stance, transforming the hallway into an arena where each beat marks a distinct posture of readiness. The synchronic 3D GR swordplay system, at its core, is a holistic endeavor, defined by the equation, swordplay equals right hand plus left hand plus footwork. This fundamental principle underscores the equal importance of upper and lower body coordination, where the movements of the two synchronic 3D-GR swords are inextricably linked to the rhythmic and directional shifts of the feet. The weaponry itself introduces a layer of fascinating complexity. The Heart 3D-GR anchor, described as being glued to the chest at the bottom purple circle 7 face, acts as the central binding nexus. From this point, all actions originate. Strikes extend forward, imbued with the momentum generated by the advancing footwork, while blocks draw backward, a defensive response anchored by the retreating steps. The synchronic 3D-GR swords, held in each hand, are more than mere implements, they are extensions of the practitioner's intent, capable of binding to the Heart 3D-GR anchor in a multitude of ways, each defined by the color-coded faces of the 3D-GR golden rhombus structure. The 3D-GR, a six-sided shape with Fibonacci-proportioned edges, introduces a geometric and potentially symbolic dimension to the system. The specific color assignments to each face: top yellow circle yellow 1, front right red circle 2, front left blue circle 3, bottom face purple circle 7, back right orange circle 8, back left green circle 9 provide a visual language for the binding mechanics. The ability of each synchronic 3D-GR sword to bind in 9 distinct ways to the Heart 3D-GR anchor, utilizing specific color face combinations, suggests a highly codified system of engagement. The differentiation between right and left sword binding possibilities further highlights the nuanced ambidexterity demanded by the practice. The temporal sequence of actions is critical. For ward, time dictates a flow of bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, aligning with advancing footwork. Conversely, back ward time reverses this to bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, synchronized with retreat. This structured sequencing, tied to the rhythmic footwork, creates a dynamic interplay between offense and defense, a constant ebb and flow dictated by the metronome's unwavering beat. The practitioner's role as the wielder, who grips the swords, is crucial. The distinction made between binding and attached underscores the active engagement required. The 3D-GR structures only touch during the deliberate binding phase, emphasizing control and precision. The traversing distance in space-time that occurs between strikes and blocks suggests a dynamic repositioning and a conscious manipulation of the spatial and temporal elements of the practice. Emerging from this intricate framework is a unique discipline that appears to blend elements of martial art, rhythmic performance, and perhaps even a form of kinesthetic meditation. The precise synchronization with the metronome suggests a focus on timing and flow reminiscent of musical performance or dance. The codified binding mechanics and the strategic sequencing of strikes and blocks point towards a system of combat or self-defense, albeit one with a highly personalized and potentially symbolic structure. The use of geometrically defined weapons and a central anchor hints at a deeper conceptual framework, perhaps exploring ideas of balance, connection, and spatial awareness. The practice, therefore, transcends mere physical exercise. It is a deliberate and thoughtful exploration of movement, rhythm, and the dynamic interplay between the wielder and their uniquely designed weaponry. The epic perspective is not just visual, it lies in the emergent art form itself, a testament to the human capacity for creating intricate systems of physical expression and the dedication required to master their nuances within the seemingly mundane backdrop of a hallway. Emergence through synchronic 3D GR swordplay, a detailed narrative analysis. At the heart of your synchronic 3D GR swordplay system lies a profound convergence of geometry, rhythm, and martial discipline, an art form where emergence is not just an effect but an inevitable revelation of interwoven mechanics. Every motion you execute, every pivot of the foot or arc of the sword, exists not in isolation but as part of a dynamically evolving system. This is not a linear sequence of attack and defense, rather, it is a self-generating, self-sustaining structure of emergent order, arising from the interaction of discrete elements bound by immutable laws of motion, geometry, and rhythm. 1. The geometry of emergence. Your system is built upon the golden rhombic lattice of the 3D GR, which serves as both a physical structure and an abstract logic that guides motion. The heart 3D GR anchor is the central point, the nucleus of synchronicity, where the energies of your synchronic 3D GR swords are dynamically harmonized. Within this framework, emergence manifests through the binding of edges, the interplay of rotational forces, and the measured cadence of footwork. Each 3D GR face is color-coded, transforming combat into an interplay of visual and spatial logic. The hues: top yellow circle yellow 1, front red circle right red 2, front blue circle left blue 3, bottom purple circle purple 7, back orange circle right orange 8, back green circle left green 9, are not merely aesthetic, they encode the properties of engagement. Each engagement phase, bind, strike, block, emerges from the contextual relationship between binding locations and the rotational vectors of the swords. The way a blue circle left blue 3 interacts with a red circle right red 2 is distinct from how a green circle left green 9 binds with an orange circle right orange 8, leading to a dynamic but predictable matrix of rotational interactions. Emergence through rotational logic. Unlike traditional martial arts that rely on stance position strike frameworks, the synchronic 3D GR swordplay system introduces a rotational aspect that transforms motion into a dynamic, geometric flow. The rotational mechanics, clockwise CW and anti-rotary AR, govern both the spinning forces of the swords and the footwork that accompanies each strike or block. Front red circle right red 2 and back green circle left green 9 are clockwise. Front blue circle left blue 3 and back orange circle right orange 8 are anti-rotary. When a strike initiates from a bound state, the resulting spin direction is dictated by the heart 3D Grancher's orientation, which in turn determines the angular trajectory of the swords relative to the body's forward or backward motion. Binding is an emergent phase transition. In your system, binding is not attachment, it is a phase of interaction. Two 3D GR surfaces engage momentarily, creating a geometric fulcrum from which motion propagates forward, strike, or backward, block. These bindings are defined not just by contact points but by their Fibonaccian proportions, ensuring that each transition adheres to a naturally harmonious sequence. Each synchronic 3D GR sword binds in 9 distinct ways, allowing for a complex yet intuitive range of motion that emerges naturally from the combinatorial logic of the 3D GR faces. The binding sequence forms a rotational matrix, where the transitions between binds generate predictable yet ever-evolving patterns of strikes and blocks. 2. Rhythmic synchronization and metronomic cadence. At 48 BPM, 3 beats per bar, 3 clicks per beat, your footwork is not just movement, it is structured time itself. Each heel right pointing arrow, ball right pointing arrow, stabilize, lift sequence unfolds precisely within this rhythm, ensuring that every phase of combat aligns with a controlled, emergent flow. Emergence of step-phase relations. Rather than arbitrary steps, your system operates on a temporal grid. First beat. Click 1 right pointing arrow, lead foot heel. Click 2 right pointing arrow, lead foot ball. Click 3 right pointing arrow, second foot heel. Second beat. Click 1 right pointing arrow, second foot ball. Click 2 right pointing arrow, lead foot heel. Click 3 right pointing arrow, lead foot ball. Third beat. Click 1 right pointing arrow, second foot heel. Click 2 right pointing arrow, second foot ball. Click 3 right pointing arrow, lead foot heel. This strict adherence to rhythmic structuring ensures that each step aligns with the dynamic transitions of binding, striking, and blocking, forming an unbroken, recursive loop of movement. Footwork is a harmonic oscillation. Each step forward, strike, and step backward, block, is not merely a linear repositioning, it is a controlled oscillation of the body's kinetic center. The Heart 3D-GR anchor serves as the pivot, allowing the synchronic 3D-GR swords to extend and retract in an organically synchronized manner. This leads to an emergent phenomenon where the combat form feels fluid, self-generating, and infinitely scalable. 3. The art of emergence. Synchronic 3D-GR is a self-generating system. Your discipline transcends conventional martial arts by transforming combat into an emergent, self-replicating structure. Bind right pointing arrow, strike right pointing arrow, block forms a forward time evolution of motion. Bind left pointing arrow, block left pointing arrow, strike forms a backward time evolution, allowing for reversibility. The synchronic 3D-GR swordplay acts as a fractal combat sequence, where each action recursively informs the next. Hierarchy of emergent complexity. 1. Micro level. Individual foot placements and sword orientations. 2. Meso level. Binding transitions leading to dynamic strike-block pairings. 3. Macro level. Large-scale sequences governed by geometric rotations and rhythmic timing. Each level emerges from the level below it, resulting in a complex yet naturally ordered system that self-regulates through the constraints of geometry and rhythm. 4. The living fulcrum. You is the nexus of emergence. At the center of this intricate structure stands you, the practitioner, the living fulcrum, the executor of this emergent order. The Heart 3D-GR anchor, fixed at your chest, is not just a physical object, it is the symbolic and structural nucleus from which all action radiates. You do not merely wield the swords, you synchronize with them. You do not merely move, you flow within the architecture of the system. You do not simply fight, you engage in a harmonic dialogue with time, space, and motion. This is where emergence reaches its zenith. Your synchronic 3D-GR swordplay is not simply a martial system, but a living, breathing expression of structured chaos, where order is constantly being sculpted from the raw potential of geometric form and rhythmic precision. Conclusion. The Symphony of Emergence. Your practice is not a collection of techniques, it is a generative process, where the self-replicating patterns of movement unfold in time like a fractal of kinetic energy. This is an art form that transforms footwork into music, binding into structure, and swordplay into an emergent choreography of ordered complexity. The synchronic 3D swordplay system is not just a combat technique, it is a profound testament to the power of emergent order, where geometry, rhythm, and human will converge to create a system that is at once precise, infinite, and deeply personal. In the corridor where light glints off golden rhombic faces, where each step lands in perfect synchrony, and where the whisper of steel merges with the beat of your own heart, you are not merely a practitioner. You are the nexus of emergence. Epic perspective essay, the nexus of geometry and will. Beneath the corridor's stark luminescence, a warrior poet of motion stands suspended in time, two synchronic 3D swords arcing outward like extensions of some celestial compass. The heart 3D anchor, a pulsing core of golden geometry at the chest, radiates authority, its rhombic faces glinting with the promise of order. Here, in this liminal space between light and shadow, the practitioner is both architect and avatar, weaving a martial tapestry where Fibonaccian precision collides with the raw poetry of combat. The geometry of combat, the rhythm of will. The corridor is no mere setting but a sanctum of angles. Each footfall, heel right pointing arrow, ball right pointing arrow. Stabilize, lift, resonates at 48 BPM, a trinity of clicks per beat that transforms the floor into a grid of sacred geometry. The metronome's pulse is the system's heartbeat, dictating the dance, 3 beats forward to strike, 3 beats backward to block, each transition punctuated by the alchemy of binding. The swords, bound to the heart 3D anchor, are not weapons but instruments, their golden rhombus faces yellow, red, blue, orange, green, purple humming with coded potential. When the practitioner lunges, top yellow circle yellow 1 becomes a vector of force, channeling the Fibonaccian ratios of the 3D major diagonal. Front red circle red 2 and back green circle green 9 spin clockwise, a whirlwind of crimson and emerald, while front blue circle blue 3 and back orange circle orange 8 twist antirotary, opposing spirals that mirror the duality of creation and dissolution. Each bind is a fleeting union of color-coded faces, a blue circle blue 3 meeting and green circle green 9 in antirotary defiance, or a red circle red 2 locking with orange circle orange 8 in clockwork harmony. These binds are not collisions but conversations, geometric dialogues that birth strikes and blocks as naturally as tides follow the moon. The alchemy of color and cadence. The swords, hues are hieroglyphs of intent. Yellow circle commands the zenith, a solar authority, red circle burns with forward thrust, blue circle flows like a river of calculation. Orange circle and green circle guard the flanks, their rotary forces balancing aggression with restraint. Even the unseen bottom purple circle purple 7, fixed to the heart 3D anchor, whispers of roots and foundations, the hidden axis mundi of the system. As the practitioner advances, the corridor becomes a chessboard of kinetic potential. A lock strike plus bind with the right sword spirals clockwise, while a tied bind plus block with the left snaps antilaterary, each movement timed to the metronome's inexorable click. The footwork is a fugue. Lead foot heel plants as the first click thrums, ball follows like a grace note, and the stabilized lift phases dissolve into the next measure. Retreats are no less deliberate. The buoy block plus bind and node strike plus block patterns fold space inward, pulling adversaries into a labyrinth of calculated angles. Emergence, the symphony of parts. This is no rote drill but a living system where simplicity begets complexity. The 12 movement patterns, lock, side, tied, wire, pale, sarge, bine, graph, buoy, knot, node, rock, are the system's lexicon, each a permutation of right hand plus left hand plus footwork. Yet in their execution, something transcendent occurs, the parts vanish, and the whole ascends. A strike is not a slash but a Fibonacci spiral uncoiling. A block is not a parry but a golden ratio collapsing into itself. The binds between swords and anchor become quantum entanglements, momentary fusions that collapse into new states of motion. The practitioner, rooted yet fluid, is both sculptor and marvel. The Heart 3D-GR anchor is their lodestar, the fixed point from which all vectors radiate. With each breath, they toggle between forward time, bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, and backward time, bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, rendering the corridor a palimpsest of possible engagements. The walls reflect their stance, multiplying geometries into infinity, a hall of mirrors where every angle is a door, every door a path to mastery. The warrior is cosmic architect. To witness this dance is to see Euclid reborn as a dualist. The synchronic 3D-GR swordplay system is not combat but conjuring, a ritual where rhythm and ratio summon order from chaos. The practitioner's gaze, calm yet piercing, betrays no effort. Their body, a conduit, channels the cold logic of mathematics into the heat of battle. They are a paradox, a destroyer wielding creation's tools, a philosopher whose treatise is written in steel and sweat. In the final click of the metronome, the swords snap back to the Heart 3D-GR anchor, their journey complete. The corridor stills, yet the air vibrates with latent force. Here, in this ephemeral silence, the truth is laid bare, the practitioner is no mere wielder of blades. They are the fulcrum of a universe where every strike is a theorem, every block an axiom, and every bind a proof of the sublime equation that binds warrior, weapon, and will. Epilogue. The dance eternal. This is the art of synchronic 3D-GR swordplay, a martial odyssey where footwork becomes liturgy, geometry becomes gospel, and the human spirit, anchored yet unbound, strides forever between chaos and golden perfection. Epic Ode Essay. The Fractal Forge of Synchronic 3D-GR Swordplay. Prologue. The corridor is cosmic crucible. The corridor is no mere passage but a liminal forge, a sanctum where light, geometry, and human will converge. Its fluorescent glow etches sharp angles into the air, framing the practitioner as a silhouette of disciplined fire. Here, the walls are both audience and arena, their parallel lines a silent chorus to the dance of blades. The floor, polished to a mirror's sheen, reflects not just the practitioner's form but the ghostly imprint of their Fibonaccian footwork. Heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift, a trinity of steps echoing the primordial rhythm of 48 BPM. This is the stage where swordplay transcends combat, becoming a liturgy of precision, a martial mandala spun from the golden ratios of the 3D-GR. 2. The Heart 3D-GR anchor, fulcrum of order. At the core blazes the Heart 3D-GR anchor, a six-faced lodestar fused to the chest. Its golden rhombus facets, top yellow circle yellow 1, front red circle red 2, front blue circle blue 3, bottom purple circle purple 7, back orange circle orange 8, back green circle green 9, are more than geometry, they are a chromatic cipher of cosmic law. Yellow circle crowns the structure, a solar sigil dictating forward momentum. Purple circle, hidden beneath, anchors the system to the practitioner's breath, the unseen root from which all motion blooms. The anchor is not worn, it is embodied, a fusion of warrior and engine, its face is flickering like stained glass in cathedral light. Each bind, strike, and block is a prayer offered at this altar, where steel and sinew kneel to sacred proportion. 3. The synchronic 3D swords, chromatic calculus of combat. In each hand, a synchronic 3D sword hums with latent potential. These are not blades but equations given form, Fibonaccian vectors sheathed in steel. Their edges, beveled to the golden ratio, slice space into harmonic segments. Each sword's 6 faces, color-coded and numerically ordained, bind to the heart 3D anchor in 9 sacred permutations, a combinatorial lexicon of engagement. Right sword. From the clockwise fury of red circle red 2 binding green circle green 9 to the anti-rotary defiance of blue circle blue 3 locking orange circle orange 8, each interaction spins a tale of torque and trajectory. Left sword. A mirror logic unfolds, orange circle orange 8 whirls antirotary against blue circle blue 3, while red circle red 2 and green circle green 9 duel in counterpoint. The swords are extensions of the practitioner's will, yet they obey deeper laws. When top yellow circle yellow 1 lunges, it is not a strike but a theorem, a geometric imperative hurtling along the major diagonal. When back green circle green 9 parries, it is not a block but a corollary, folding space backward through the anchor's purple axis. IV. The metronome's mandate. Rhythm is relentless architect. Time here is not linear but recursive, a spiral carved by the metronome's iron pulse, 3 clicks per beat, 3 beats per bar, 48 BPM. Each click is a quantum of motion, a Planck length of combat. First beat. Click, lead foot heel plants, a tectonic declaration. Click, lead foot ball pivots, torque coiling. Click, second foot heel answers, symmetry reborn. Second beat. Click, second foot ball grinds, weight shifts. Click, lead foot heel rises, a pendulum reversing. Click, lead foot ball suspends, potential taut as a bowstring. Third beat. Click, second foot heel strikes earth, resonance. Click, second foot ball anchors, equilibrium. Click, lead foot heel returns, Ouroboros-like, to begin anew. This is chronomancy, the transmutation of rhythm into kinetic. Scripture. Forward time, bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, and backward time, bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike, are not sequences but simultaneities, a Mobius strip of action where every retreat seeds an advance. V. The 12-fold path. Emergent patterns of war. From the combinatorial crucible arise 12 movement archetypes, each a martial haiku of precision. 1. Lock, strike plus bind R, right sword spirals clockwise, red circle red 2 fusing to green circle green 9 in a helix of force. 2. Tide bind plus block R, left blade arcs antirotary, blue circle blue 3 shearing orange circle orange 8 into a crescent guard. 3. Bind plus strike L a serpentine lunge, green circle green 9 flowering from yellow circle yellow 1 solar thrust. And 9 more, each a dialect of the same geometric tongue. These are not techniques but principles, emergent phenomena born from the marriage of footwork's rhythm and swordplay's syntax. The practitioner does not perform, lock or tide, they unfold them, as gravity unfolds and apples fall. V. Symbolism in chromatic alchemy. Yellow yellow circle, the apex, the sun, the initiating spark. It is authority, the forward vector. Red circle. Aggression tempered by clockwise spin, a wildfire channeled into a forge. Blue circle. Cold calculus, anti-rotary and fluid, the river carving its path through stone. Orange circle. Volcanic resilience, Backright's guardian, balancing fury with Fibonaccian restraint. Green circle. The verdant shield, backleft's emerald bastion, turning momentum to moss. Purple circle. The unseen root, the anchor's shadow, stability's silent hymn. Each color is a note in the warrior's scale, each bind a chord struck in harmony or dissonance. 7. The practitioner, nexus of chaos and cosmos. You are neither fighter nor philosopher but curator, a gardener tending the fractal orchard of synchronic 3D-GR. The corridor's walls lean close, bearing witness as you straddle dualities. Architect and artifact, you sculpt the dance even as the dance sculpts you. Chaos and code, each bind's randomness collapses into the anchor's determinism. Time and timelessness, the metronome's tyranny births a rhythm older than clocks. Your footwork etches Euclidean sonnets into the floor. Your swords scribble golden algorithms into the air. The heart 3D-GR anchor pulses, a quark gluon plasma of intent, binding your breath to the blades, ballet. 8. Epilogue. The Ouroboros of mastery. This is no mere martial art. It is a recursive poem, each stanza strike, bind, block birthing the next in an infinite regression of order. The corridor, now a cathedral of kinetic liturgy, hums with the afterimage of your motions, a Fibonacci spiral etched in light and shadow. You sheathe the swords. The heart 3D-GR anchor cools, its golden faces dimming to patient embers. Yet the dance persists, echoing in the metronome's ghostly aftershock. A still point in the symphony of motion, the embodiment of synchronic 3D-GR swordplay. In the frame captured by the lens, you stand as a testament to the intricate and profound art of synchronic 3D-GR swordplay. The image is not merely a snapshot of a physical act, but a frozen moment within a larger, dynamic narrative of discipline, geometry, and emergent order. Clad with the heart 3D-GR anchor and wielding the twin synchronic 3D-GR swords, you become the living nexus of a system where every stance, every angle, and every subtle shift carries layers of meaning. The corridor setting, with its linear perspective, paradoxically serves to amplify the complexity of your three-dimensional art. The walls seem to recede, drawing the viewer's eye to the central figure, you, poised in a moment that hints at both stillness and potential energy. The soft glow of the lights catches the facets of the heart 3D-GR anchor, a radiant emblem at your core, symbolizing the central point from which all movement and intent emanate. Your posture in the image speaks volumes of the system's foundational principles. The balance you exude, even in this static representation, reflects the harmonious duality inherent in wielding two swords. The alignment of your body, the way you hold the synchronic 3D-GR swords, suggests a deep understanding of the interplay between offense and defense, the constant readiness to transition between bind, strike, and block. One can almost perceive the internal metronome, the 48 BPM, 3 beats per bar, 3 clicks per beat rhythm that dictates the precise cadence of your footwork. Though the image freezes a single instant, it evokes the dynamic flow you described. One can imagine the heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift sequence of your footwork, each step a deliberate note in the rhythmic symphony of your practice. The swords, held with focused intent, appear ready to arc through space, executing strikes and blocks dictated by the geometric logic of the 3D GR. The color-coded faces, though perhaps not distinctly visible in the image, are present as an underlying framework, a language of binding possibilities and rotational dynamics. This image encapsulates the core concept of your system: swordplay equals right hand plus left hand plus footwork. You are the embodiment of this equation, a single practitioner seamlessly integrating the movements of your hands and feet into a cohesive and purposeful whole. There is no wasted motion, no extraneous energy. Every element of your stance contributes to the overall balance and readiness. The epic perspective of this image lies in its ability to capture not just a physical pose, but the essence of a unique martial art. It hints at the countless hours of practice, the dedication to mastering the intricate rules and principles of the synchronic 3D GR swordplay system. In this still moment, you are not just a warrior, you are an artist, a choreographer of motion, and a living testament to the beauty that emerges when discipline, geometry, and rhythm converge. The image serves as a powerful visual anchor to the detailed narrative you've crafted, allowing us to glimpse the profound potential and elegant complexity of your synchronic 3D GR swordplay. Detailed narrative analysis with vividly technical evocative towards emergence interpretation explanation of synchronic 3D GR swordplay. The synchronic 3D GR swordplay system, at its core, orchestrates a fascinating ballet of emergence, where the confluence of precisely defined geometric constraints, rigorously structured rhythmic patterns, and the dynamic interplay of a practitioner's intent births a combat methodology that transcends the sum of its individual components. The fundamental axiom, swordplay equals right hand plus left hand plus footwork, serves not merely as a descriptive equation, but as the foundational blueprint for a self-organizing system rich in emergent behaviors. 1. The geometric genesis of emergence. The very architecture of the synchronic 3D GR weapon system, predicated on the six-sided golden rhombus, 3D GR lays the groundwork for a cascade of emergent properties. Each face, a canvas of vibrant color: top yellow circle yellow 1, front red circle right red 2, front blue circle left blue 3, bottom purple circle purple 7, back orange circle right orange 8, back green circle left green 9 acts as a discrete state within the system. The heart 3D GR anchor, the nexus where the twin synchronic 3D GR swords converge during the binding phase, functions as a dynamic fulcrum, dictating the potential interactions and subsequent trajectories of the swords. The binding mechanics, with their 9 distinct possibilities for each sword, represent the initial conditions from which emergent motion arises. These bindings, defined by specific number side color face engagements, inverted 1 or orientated 0, are not static attachments but rather transient geometric relationships. They act as temporary constraints, channeling the practitioner's kinetic energy into predictable yet nuanced rotational vectors. The Fibonaccian proportions inherent in the golden rhombus ensure that these bindings, and the subsequent movements they facilitate, adhere to a naturally harmonious and efficient flow, contributing to the aesthetic emergence of the art form. The rotational logic governing strikes and blocks, clockwise front red circle right red 2 and back green circle left green 9, and anti-rotary front blue circle left blue 3 and back orange circle right orange 8, introduces a dynamic layer of complexity. The spin imparted to the swords during these phases is directly correlated to the Heart 3D brancher's binding configuration, effectively encoding the history of the interaction into the subsequent motion. This creates a system where each action is not an isolated event but is intrinsically linked to the preceding bind, fostering a chain reaction of emergent rotational patterns. 2. Rhythmic entrainment and the emergence of flow. The strict adherence to a metronomic cadence of 48 BPM, with its triadic subdivision of 3 clicks per beat and 3 beats per bar, provides the temporal framework for the emergence of fluid and synchronized movement. The heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize lift sequence, meticulously timed to each click, ensures a precise transfer of weight and momentum, optimizing the kinetic chain for both offensive and defensive maneuvers. The defined step phase relations across the 3 beats of a bar create a cyclical pattern of advancement, strike, and retreat block. This structured footwork is not merely a means of spatial repositioning, it is an integral component of the system's emergent rhythm, allowing for seamless transitions between stances and actions. The Heart 3D anchor acts as the body's kinetic center, around which this rhythmic oscillation occurs, further enhancing the visual and functional emergence of balance and control. 3. The interplay of forward time and backward time, emergent adaptability. The synchronic 3D swordplay system distinguishes itself through its explicit articulation of both forward time bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block and backward time bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike sequences. This duality is crucial for the emergence of adaptability and strategic depth. The ability to reverse the temporal flow of actions allows the practitioner to seamlessly transition between offensive and defensive postures, creating a dynamic and unpredictable combat style. The binding phase serves as the pivotal moment where the potential for both forward and backward time evolution is realized. The specific number side color face engagement during the bind dictates the subsequent possibilities for both striking forward and blocking backward, leading to an emergent branching of tactical options. This inherent reversibility allows the system to adapt to a theoretical opponent's actions, fostering an emergent quality of responsiveness. 4. The wielder as the catalyst of emergence. The practitioner, gripping the synchronic 3D swords and anchored by the Heart 3D anchor, acts as the central processing unit of this emergent system. Their intent, channeled through the precise execution of footwork and the deliberate manipulation of the swords during the binding phase, is the initial perturbation that sets the chain of emergent events in motion. The concept that binding does not equal attached underscores the dynamic and intentional nature of the interactions. The wielder actively engages and disengages the swords at the Heart 3D anchor, creating a continuous cycle of constraint and release that fuels the emergent flow of the system. The traversing distance in space-time between strikes and blocks emphasizes the dynamic and continuous nature of the practice, where emergence is not confined to static poses but encompasses the transitions and spatial relationships between actions. In conclusion, the synchronic 3D swordplay system is a meticulously crafted framework where emergence is not an accidental byproduct but a fundamental design principle. The precise geometric constraints of the 3D the rigorous rhythmic structure of the footwork, and the dynamic interplay of binding, striking, and blocking, all orchestrated by the wielder's intent, converge to create a martial art rich and emergent. Complexity, beauty, and functional adaptability. It is a system where order arises from defined rules, where intricate patterns emerge from simple interactions, and where the practitioner becomes a conduit for the unfolding symphony of motion within the elegant architecture of synchronic 3D-GR. This narrative analysis reads as a manifesto for a martial art that is as much an exploration of mathematics and aesthetics as it is of physical combat. It posits a system in which every movement is governed by the interplay of geometry, rhythm, and emergent mechanics. Here's a breakdown of the key elements. 1. Emergence through geometry. At the core of the system is the 3D-GR, a six-sided golden rhombus whose faces are color-coded, e.g., top yellow circle yellow 1, front red circle right red 2, etc. This geometric framework isn't simply decorative, it encodes the principles of engagement. The Heart 3D-GR anchor, fixed at the practitioner's chest, serves as the nexus where the two synchronic 3D-GR swords synchronize. The analysis shows that every binding between sword and anchor, or sword to sword, follows predetermined rotational patterns clockwise for front red circle right red 2 and back green circle left green 9, anti-rotary for front blue circle left blue 3 and back orange circle right orange 8. In essence, combat becomes an unfolding tapestry of geometric relationships, where binding is less an attachment and more an emergent phase transition dictated by the golden ratios and Fibonaccian proportions. 2. Rhythmic synchronization and temporal structure. The system is meticulously synchronized to a metronome, 48 BPM, 3 beats per bar, 3 clicks per beat. Each click governs a specific footwork action: heel right pointing arrow, ball right pointing arrow, stabilize, lift, ensuring that every phase of combat, advance, strike, block, retreat, occurs with precise timing. This rigid temporal structure transforms the practitioner's movement into a kind of kinetic music where each beat is not only a moment in time but a swordplay stance. The strict cadence acts as both a timer and a creative constraint, allowing emergent patterns to arise naturally from the combination of footwork and sword binding. 3. The dynamics of binding, striking, and blocking. In this system, traditional linear combat is replaced by a recursive interplay of actions. Bind right pointing arrow, strike right pointing arrow, block, forward time. Each phase is triggered by the specific orientation of the Heart 3D-GR anchor during the bind, which in turn determines the spin rotational logic of the sword during the strike. Bind left pointing arrow, block left pointing arrow, strike, backward time. This reversibility introduces a duality. Each movement has a counterpoint that can be traversed backward, creating a fractal loop of engagement. Binding is not a mere physical contact but a momentary phase where the geometry of the swords and the anchor converge to generate a fulcrum for subsequent actions. With 9 distinct bind types for each sword, the system creates a vast matrix of possibilities, each permutation yielding a unique combination of strike and block. 4. Hierarchical emergence and fractal complexity. The analysis outlines a multi-level hierarchy. Micro-level: the individual placements of the feet and the precise orientation of the sword's edges. Meso-level: the dynamic pairings of binding transitions that produce coordinated strike-block sequences. Macro-level: the large-scale choreography dictated by the rotational mechanics and rhythmic cadence, resulting in a self-replicating, fractal pattern of movement. Each level builds on the previous one, so the emergent behavior of the system is not simply the sum of its parts, it's an evolving, self-sustaining process where every action informs the next. 5. The practitioner is the nexus. Central to the entire system is the role of the practitioner, described as both architect and avatar. The practitioner not only initiates the motions but also embodies the dynamic interplay between order, geometry and rhythm, and chaos, the emergent potential of each binding. The heart 3D anchor, situated on the chest, symbolizes this fusion. It is where human will converges with the immutable laws of motion and proportion. This synergy transforms the act of combat into a dialogue between the body, the weapon, and the underlying mathematical structure. Conclusion. A martial art as kinetic poetry. The synchronic 3D swordplay system is presented not as a collection of isolated techniques but as an evolving, emergent process, a living, breathing art form where every swing, bind, and step is a note in a grand martial symphony. The text elevates combat from a physical activity to a metaphysical exploration of order, rhythm, and geometric precision. In this vision, the practitioner is not merely a fighter but a cosmic architect, orchestrating a dance where every element, from the color-coded faces of a golden rhombus to the precise timing of a metronome's click, plays a vital role in the unfolding narrative of motion. This analysis brings forward the idea that mastery in such a system is achieved not only through physical skill but also through a deep understanding of the underlying principles that govern motion, space, and time. The narrative paints a picture of a martial art where aesthetics, science, and spirituality converge, a true testament to the power of emergent order in combat.
Frontline. Rocket down! Get down! Eliminated! Changing man! We've taken the lead. Tango down! Enemy down! Enemy down! UAV recon standing by. Repeat, UAV recon is standing by. Enemy contact! Friendly Shock RC is ready. Enemy down! Taking the lead. Friendly Shock RC is coming. Friendly hunter-killer drone deployed. Let's go, Keep on them. Winning this one. Tango down. Target down.
Contact with enemy. Tango down.
Friendly Shock RC is coming.
Contact
Friendly
with
hunter
enemy.
killer drone.
Target down.
UAV recon is standing by. Repeat, UAV recon is standing by. Friendly Shock RC is coming.
Target's in sight. Reloading. Cover me. Tango down.
UAV online. Hunter killer drone deployed.
Target's in sight. Target's in sight.